sharing some moving and tragic reflections on a life filled with moments and encounters where the Nembutsu impacted your life. I think you have succeeded in planting a seed in all of us. Next, I'd like to introduce Ms. Carol Valentine from the Mahonganji Mission of Hawaii, Federation of Buddhist Women's Association.
Thank you. And Reverend Motoyoshi, wherever you are, yes, this is slightly terrifying. So many people. Good morning, everyone. A special greeting to our honored guests, His Eminence Gomonshu Koju Notani, Bishop Umezu, Bishop Matsumoto, Bishop Aoki, and Bishop Kajibara. And a special thank you to all the BWA presidents and the members who traveled so far to attend this wonderful convention. Now, my instructions were to reflect and to share how I lived the Nembutsu. I asked myself, why did they choose me? My first response was, that makes sense, I talk a lot. My second response was, but I really am imperfect, surely not the one to be a model for others. Then I realized, that's just right, I am a foolish being, and so I can speak from the experience of foolishness. I am a work in progress. Then the difficult part started, working on my talk. As I have read, we can enjoy Nembutsu anytime, anywhere in our daily living. Let us listen to the Dharma so we can live a life full in Nembutsu. Now, the Nembutsu should reflect real life, our everyday lives, which to me is living the Dharma. After all, Buddhism is not in a book. We're living it as fellow travelers along life's path. Yes, we are embraced by the Nembutsu, but we also have an obligation to our fellow travelers. As I started to put my thoughts together, I thought of something one of the former presidents of the United States, the late George H.W. Bush, shared in an interview when asked about a plaque he always had on his desk. I'm going to paraphrase what was written, which is that we should share the Dharma every day and use words when necessary. Those few words are powerful and seem to be so very appropriate for my talk. As the theme of our convention says, we need to live the Nembutsu, live the Dharma. How many times have we heard those words? Live the Dharma. But what do those words really mean? What do those words actually say to us? Are they only words we say? What does it mean we do? How do we show our beautiful faith to others in a way they will understand, especially those who may know nothing of who we are as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists? Reverend Dr. Mark Uno has visited Hawaii, and I remember his words. He said, don't just recite the details, live the concepts. He also said, the real teaching is the living Dharma, small gestures with sincerity, humility, and generosity. To say it simply, it's not only about talking the talk, but also about walking the walk. I believe that our practice is not just something we do, it should be who we are. There are so many teachings it can almost be overwhelming. To simplify my task, I ask myself, how do we show the Dharma in our everyday lives? With apologies to the ministers, I believe that living the Dharma is not about being the best we can be at chanting or doing Gassho perfectly. It's not about how well we sing or offer incense. It must go beyond rituals, beyond Sunday service, and be a part of our lives every single day, to include how we treat others and how we handle adversity, whether we're with our Sangha on a Sunday, with strangers on a Wednesday, or our families every day. We should be a living, breathing advertisement for Buddhism every moment of our lives. Others will know, we may not know we're Buddhist, but they will know we care. In striving to live the Dharma and to simplify the task, I like to think of 4 qualities that I think are important to practice as a Buddhist. I know I fall short, usually on a daily basis, since I am a foolish being. But then, I'm not a monk. I can't practice in isolation. I must live within this life that I am given, with all of its stresses, decisions, disappointments, obstacles, and of course, joy. These 4 qualities I see are gratitude, kindness, compassion, and interdependence. Let me elaborate on each one and the simple notions I try to incorporate into my life. Gratitude. And truly, yes, we're on the same page, aren't we? We know what gratitude is, but often in our busy and hectic lives, we forget to practice gratitude. Forget to say a simple thank you. So say thank you every day. It's really that simple. Say thank you even to those who are doing their job. Remember to thank the wait staff at the restaurant, the store clerk, the gate agent at the airport, the pharmacist, and yes, the barista at Starbucks. You know what I'm saying. Gratitude is showing kindness. Remember to also say please, because it shows our gratitude to those who are asking for help. We can and should be grateful every day. Some ideas? Well, let's feel grateful for that first cup of coffee in the morning, yes. Finding your car keys. Laughter. Having a place to live. Let's be grateful for electricity. And your family, even though they may no longer be with you. And by the way, like Trudy said, science has found that grateful people are happier, less depressed, less stressed, and more satisfied with their lives and social relationships. That's pretty good. Kindness. To me, kindness means to do the right thing, just to do the right thing, without promise of a reward. Some ideas for kindness. Don't gossip. Remember, gossip is like opening a feather pillow in the wind. There's no way to take back all those feathers that you just let loose. Hold the door for the person behind you. Hold a hand if it needs to be held. Choose your words carefully. Use kind and gentle words, as the golden chain reminds us. Smile. You may be the first smile someone sees all day. Apologize when appropriate, and give a sincere compliment to someone you know, or maybe even someone you don't know. Hey, you like the shoes of the person behind you? Tell them that. That's kind of nice. Let me share a personal story to highlight the importance of gratitude and kindness. In my life as an educator, I worked with many challenging students, especially in middle school. One such student came back to me 2 years after being in my class, and he apologized to me for the way he had behaved in my class, and he thanked me for helping him learn. He really touched my heart, and I have never forgotten the gift his words gave to me, and that was more than 20 years ago. Compassion. One definition of compassion is this one: the feeling that arises when you are confronted with another's suffering and feel motivated to relieve that suffering. If we can help others, then we should. After all, didn't Buddha want to help alleviate suffering? Compassion helps us to focus on others and to create a greater feeling of interdependence for all around us. Some ideas for practicing compassion: listen more than you talk. That sometimes is tough. Listen with your ears and with your heart. And sometimes listening is really all that's needed. Lose the need to be right. Let go of control. Choose to be kind over being right. Make people feel comfortable if they ask for help. And you know, it is okay to disagree with someone and to tell people no. Just do it with compassion. And again, some good news, compassion acts like preventative medicine for many of our afflictions. The greater our compassion, the more peace we will experience. Interdependence. This concept may be the most difficult because it seems like such a large and global notion. If we break it down into smaller units, it becomes more manageable. Let me use a quote from Reverend Koshin Ogui, the former bishop of BCA. He said, "I realize my life is possible only because of others' sacrifices, thoughtfulness, and patience. What I can do for others in return is my good question." That is interdependence. Others help us so we can help others. Like the phrase says, pay it forward. We no longer live in a world where we depend only on ourselves. Everything we touch was touched by many other hands before we had a chance to receive it. Silently thank the many hundreds of people who make our lives possible. Some ideas for interdependence. Recycle every chance you get. Clean up your own mess, throw away your own trash. Share an umbrella with someone if it's raining. Admit when you are wrong. And share that last cookie with someone. That's tough. As we know, nothing exists in isolation. This talk is a perfect example. I have used the words of many others who say so eloquently what I think and feel. Without the words of others, I would not have been able to create my talk. To those whose words I have used and not named, including Gomonshu Sama, Bishop Eric Matsumoto, Reverend Miyako Majima, and Piper Toyama, thank you. And from my home temple, a thank you to Lynn and Edith and my husband Wayne for suggestions and support. In closing, a reminder for me, the foolish person. I know that Amida Buddha is always there with me and for me. He's with me and he will wait for me at my finish line, no matter how many detours I may take or bumpy roads I choose to travel. As we have heard, the Nembutsu is not my call to the Buddha, but the Nembutsu is the Buddha calling me. Thank you for this time. Please join me with your hands together in reverence. Thank you very much.